Hello, and welcome to episode 68 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for October 22nd, 2013. I'm FlutterGuy317, and today we're missing a rainbow plasma, so I'm doing the intro, which is kind of weird.
Good.
Bern, do you want to introduce yourself first? And it's like totally out of order.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're the media manager.
Yeah.
We'll throw that out there. You manage media and stuff.
Whatever.
And then my name's Burn1. I'm the special guest coordinator, and not the editor this week.
And that one over there is Atmospark.
The guy in the corner.
I am Atmospark.
Yeah.
Sorry, things were beeping all around me. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm Atmospark. I do questions in the DV Nuts.
He's the podcast Kerbal Space manager or something like that. I don't know.
I am. So yeah, new update to Kerbal Space program came out last week, and it's I've been playing the crap out of it.
Aren't you playing it right now? Because you're a horrible person. Horrible person.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
That's awful.
Wow, yeah.
Should feel bad.
I'm just gonna land this and then I'll finish.
You better.
Yeah.
I will.
Should we do sound effects for the landing, or
You can.
how long is it gonna take?
Well, I crashed the last time.
Well, anyhow.
I'll just save it.
So anyhow, we have an art podcast, right?
Yeah, art podcast. We like to talk about art things.
Yeah. So, Bernd, I think we have a special guest today.
We do. We have a special guest on the show this week for you guys. If you're watching our last episode, you'll know who it is. But this week on the show, we have LeekFish, a wonderful pony artist and illustrator who's been to many pony conventions. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
It's awesome to have you on here. A little question we like to ask when we start out is, for those who maybe don't know about you or don't know about your work, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm primarily a digital artist, though I dabble in other mediums as well. The fandom probably mostly knows me for my work for various conventions. I was head of art and design of Brony Expo, and I also did some promotional artwork for Equestria LA, Everfree Northwest, and I will be doing some work for BabsCon coming up as well.
It's actually how I found out about you. I saw your artwork at EQLA. You had a booth there, and I saw some stuff there. I think the poster, right? Poster.
And you've come to visit me at like every convention since.
Yeah, every convention since.
Except for BronyCon.
Yeah, you couldn't make it to BronyCon, unfortunately. BronyCon kind of emptied my pony funds, if you will. But yeah, I remember seeing your art there, and then I had gone to Everfree Northwest, and then I was like, hey, I know these pony noses. And I was like, are you also doing art for Everfree Northwest? You're like, yeah, I am, and I also have a table there. I was like, oh. And then that's pretty much how it started. So now I just, whenever I know that you have a table somewhere, I try to come say hi.
Yay! Always nice to have visitors.
Yeah. It's always nice to have regular pony artists at conventions.
Yeah. So you've done a ton of cons this year.
Yeah, so far I went to EQLA, Everfree, BronyCon, BronyCan, and I'm going to Nightmare Nights in a couple weeks as well.
Nightmare Nights is in?
Dallas,
Texas.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
All the pony conventions.
All the pony cons.
I haven't heard of like half of these.
There's too many to keep track of.
Like you mentioned BabsCon before. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, BabsCon is a new one starting up in San Francisco. I believe it's supposed to be in April. I think Easter weekend. Looking forward to that one.
That's cool.
They've already announced, let's see, they have Andrea Lemon, they have Emily Larson, as well as Amy Keating-Rogers, and I know I'm forgetting one of their guests. I hope that they don't listen to this and feel bad.
Well, that's a relatively new con, isn't it? Have they actually had a convention before, or are they starting up?
Well, they're just starting up, I think. They announced themselves, I think, around the same time EQLA announced their hiatus for 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all had a little bit of experience. I know some of them were helping out us with Sac Brony Expo, and they've been, getting advice from other conventions as well, so they're working with EQLA and Everfree Northwest, to my knowledge.
That's cool, because I remember hearing about EQLA and how it wasn't going to happen, and I was like, oh, sad, there's not going to be another, West Coast convention until, Everfree Northwest in August, I believe.
I was bummed because I was like, I want to do their artwork again. But I'll be back working for them in 2015 when they come back. When they announce their return, I need to draw their mascot as a zombie coming back from the dead.
Yeah,
nice.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice to have a California convention to go to.
Well, and
so that was BabsCon. Look forward to that.
Yeah, and you're doing some work for them, and you've done some work for the other cons, Everfree Northwest, I know, and because we saw, I think, did you do you did some of the con artwork for that, right?
Little bit.
Yeah.
I was brought on the team about a month before the con, so most of the big stuff had already been finished, of course. But I did some stuff that, let's see, there was some artwork that went on signs, which I think was the artwork that Burns saw when he was like, hey, wait a second.
I was standing in line for pre-registration, and I was like, I think I know that.
Yeah.
I guess my muzzles, are pony noses, that's how people tend to recognize my style.
They're pretty unique, actually.
They're very round, yeah.
I tend to use a lot of round shapes with my style, so it just sort of was how I ended up drawing them. But anyway, let's see. I also did an advertisement for their convention store that was in the con book, as well as a 3-page comic featuring the mascot front page. Mm-hmm. And I also did the invitations for the Children's Royal Court, and it also was, I turned it into a print that went in their charity auction as a one-of-a-kind print.
Yeah, I remember it in the charity auction. It was cool to see it there. It was, I remember when they were talking about the kids in the court, or in the little event thing they were doing, how they had all the kids dressed up with wings and stuff, and they were talking about it on stage.
Yeah. I wish they came to visit me. They were so cute.
The individual who won your print, too, was really happy with it.
Yeah, she even sent me messages on, Twitter and stuff, oh, it's here, because she had to ship it home because it was in a mat, because I couldn't get a frame for it, but, it was too big to fit in a suitcase with that mat.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to, crush it or anything. She was taking really good care of it, which makes me really, really happy.
That individual was cosplaying as Twilight, too, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. This is fitting. Princess Twilight, excuse me. Eloquent Princess Twilight.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Get it right.
Gosh.
I know, come on. Jeez.
We must respect our law.
But anyway, no, pony noses. I wanted to bring that up because the ponies that you make are really cute, and they're also really unique. They're easy.
Thank
The
you.
noses are easy to recognize. A lot of artists have very unique noses and how they like drawing simple pony features. Some artists give away that it's them, or their ears or eyes, and then some artists, they'll really focus on muzzles or anatomy or things like that. And for your sketches of ponies and con work and more show accurate stuff, it's really how you do the noses. It's that one big swoop. The nose and the mouth and the little mouth line are all one big mark. So it's very distinct.
Mm-hmm. I think it helps because I tend to have multiple coloring styles. For instance, I tend to not stick with just one set style because I do like to play around, and it also depends on what fits the piece best and stuff like that. But always, always, always you can recognize how I draw noses, apparently.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you just look at some art through your DeviantArt gallery, I'm browsing through, and your muzzles are very similar from piece to piece. But they're all very cute.
Thank you.
Looking through your gallery, you've got a whole lot of different art styles. Is there one particular sort of style that you prefer? You've got these, I guess they're the cards that you've made of each of the Med 6 there's a lot of black in them. There's more realistic, or more pony realistic style arts. Is there any sort of one particular thing you like drawing more than anything else?
Let's see. That's a really difficult question because I tend to not really get stuck on one favorite. And especially after making 6 or 7 of a print in, all that one singular style, what I like to call the Dark Harmony series, which would be all the ones with all the black in them, or the monochromatic series where it's all just one color with that color as their shading and stuff as well. After a point, it gets to be a kind of a pain to keep doing that. because I want to, you know, branch out and do other stuff as well. So there's not really a style I would consider a favorite. Currently, I've been really hooked on sort of a digital painting sort of style, such as in the Shadowbolt piece that I just put up, which is a exclusive postcard for Nightmare Nights attendees that spend 20 or more at my table. There was also the Heartswarming Eve themed print called Divided that I did shortly before BronyCon. That one was fun. It was just a little tedious because it's got, like, you know, all the main 6 in it, and I was still kind of recovering from, like, almost carpal tunnel.
Oh no.
Yeah, I heard about that. all that work and making vinyl stickers and all, like, doing prints and con commissions really took a toll, huh?
Yeah, and by that point, like, when I started to realize my hand was, like, getting screwed up, I had just finished, like, 7 prints, 2 new decals, and I did a cutie mark vector to help somebody with a commission, and I did that all over the course of 2 days. So, by that point, my hand was just, like, dying, and I was like, but BronyCon is in, like, 2 weeks! I can't have this, or, like, a week, or whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I still want that one print done! So I, like, gave my hand, like, 2 days to rest, and I was like, I can still do this. So I cranked it out. Of course, by the end of it, I was just like, why? But it looks so pretty.
Yeah.
That was good. I like your digital painting style. You also have the Luna that's kind of painted, rather. It looks almost like it's traditionally painted, but it's not. It's digital. But that one's really pretty as well.
Oh, that Luna one. That one was the BronyCon postcard.
Yes.
Yeah, the one that you would give away if you spent a certain amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've been starting to do that with, like, just for most cons, actually. Because I like to give, like, little freebies with my stuff, but I can't really give anything, like, super, super big because I need to be able to afford my expenses and stuff like that, and also save for a car so I can go to more cons.
Yeah, no, I actually really like your series. Your series turn out really well, and I know, like, fans will eat up series. My favorite series of yours is the Gurren Lagann ones. I remember at EQLA, since I liked it so much, I asked when you were doing commissions there, and I asked if you would do Myosi and kind of like the Gurren Lagann thing.
I remember
and it turned
that
out
one.
really cute. I really like that. It's awesome. I have it
Thank
up on the wall.
Yeah, that style is really amazing. I also like your series of the princesses that you did for the charity auctions. Those are quite nice. And
thank you. Cadence is actually one I'm working on right now.
I was just gonna ask.
Nightmare Nights.
Yeah. Nice. I was just gonna ask. And it's unfortunate that Rainbow Plasma couldn't be here because that's his favorite princess. So I'm sure he would have asked that.
Princess of Love.
Yeah.
Yep. Cadence she's all sketched out, and I'm just kind of dreading doing all the, like, you know, pen tool work on her hair.
Yeah.
Because it's because I went with all the outfits and stuff that they're wearing during Twilight's coronation, which unfortunately for me was Cadence's over-the-top ridiculous hair.
Oh, yeah.
That's like her traditional headdress or whatever. And I took one look at it and I just went, why?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's pretty awesome that they ended up raising quite a lot of money for charity at all the cons. So
I was just so thrilled. I was like, but my prints, they're not that good or anything, but they've been doing really well in auctions, and it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And I also love, like, when people come and tell me, like, hey, I won their print, and I'm just like, give me a hug.
It's a hug of me.
Like,
awesome.
at BronyCon, the fellow that won the Luna print, he didn't even come find me because I don't think he knew, like, I was in the vendor hall, but I happened to see him passing by holding the print while I was standing in line to get a photo of Tabitha with her copy of the print because it's two of a kind. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the print. Can I take a picture of you with it? And he was just like, sure, can I take a picture of you with it too? And I was like, yes, give me a hug.
Nice. Yeah, those are amazing. And, there's like a simplistic styling to them that really is really nice.
Thank you. I really wanted to keep them kind of simple but elegant. Because I felt that would be best for a charity auction.
Yeah.
I like the real centric style on the Celestia and Luna.
Thank you.
Where they're like they're more centered, and I mean their hair is like counteracting each other because you have the pieces next to each other in your gallery.
Right.
It's different
Cadence
from the Twilight one.
Yeah, Cadence will probably be similar to Twilight's, but facing in the opposite direction, so that if they were magically all displayed all in a row. It would probably go like Twilight, Celestia, Luna, Cadence.
If you can round them up for the Traveling Pony Museum display.
Yeah.
I'm actually considering making the Cadence one 2 of a kind and donating one to the Traveling Pony Museum. But I still need to get in contact with them and ask about that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Talk to me after the show. I'll see if I can get you in touch with them.
Brent's got the connections.
Jason's a good guy.
Yeah. The museum is pretty cool. So I'm sure they would appreciate that. It'd be awesome.
They are fantastic. I remember when I got the emails saying like, "Oh, your like application," or because I remember they put out a call for artists or something, and I was like, "This would be awesome." So I sent them like an email with some samples of my work, and they were like, "Sure, we'd love to have some of your pieces." And I was just like, "Ah."
Yeah.
So I think I have my piece Self-Expression in the museum right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome. So yeah, if anyone goes to a convention and goes to see the Traveling Pony Museum, make sure to watch out for that. So I wanted to touch on something, which is your monochromatic series. And I may actually invite someone into this call because he is a fan of your monochromatic series. And
thank you.
our fans will know him as Mahauer.
A little story behind this is Mahauer's been on the show before. And he's a good friend of the show. We also been to BronyCon with him, and when we were at BronyCon, he hadn't seen or heard of your work beforehand, but then when he stopped by your table, he saw your monochromatic pieces, and he really fell in love with their style, and he loved them, and he couldn't help it, and he bought every single one. So we thought it would be fun
I remember.
to bring him onto the show to gush a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So here's Mahauer.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. So, we were just talking about your love for the monochromatics, and
Oh, yeah.
how you bought all of them.
Yeah, I did buy all of them. No
Thank
regrets. No problem. I actually kind of went there. I didn't know if I was going to buy anything because, at home, nobody really knows that I was a brony or anything. But, 3 days before on DeviantArt, I saw, you were, going to BronyCon. I was like, oh, no. And then I saw the monochromatic. I was like, crap. Because I went there, I bought the one, and then I was like, this would really go good with 5 others just like it. And then I bought them all.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, I think, yeah. So that was Mahauer, everyone.
Yeah. No, thanks for...
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I get so, squee and gushy, whenever somebody tells me they like my work a lot, so I'm just like, ah!
Well,
Yeah.
Well, it's these little style things that you do in your series are really cool. So with the Gurren Lagann ones, and then with the monochromatic ones, because there's something catchy about them that kind of catches your eye and makes them cool. And since we have a fan in the call, what makes you love those pieces or series so much, Mahauer?
I've always really liked monochromatic things, but what I really like about this is just the style, it's more cartoony somehow, which I really like, and also every one of them has its own personality, even though it's just all it is, it's pretty simple. It's just the pony, their face. Yet in every single one of them, you captured their personality pretty well, which I think is amazing. And they're perfect for a wall. Not all art is like that, but those are.
There's wall perfect art, as we like to call it.
Oh yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show and gushing a little bit about the art, Mahauer.
Yeah, thank you, Mahauer.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you
I'll
so
gush
much.
whenever you need me.
Yeah.
It's all good.
We'll bid you adieu, sir.
Yes.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had thought about that beforehand. It'd be really cool if we got someone who's a really big fan of these monochromatic pieces to talk about them. Anyway, yeah. See, you're not used to fans coming up and be like, "Oh my gosh, I love your art." You're still getting used to that, or?
I'm still getting used to it. I'm still not even fully used to the fact that, I know that my artwork is just in people's houses. That people liked my work enough to, come and pick up a print of it is just kind of amazing to me.
Which is nice. You go to enough pony conventions that it was bound to happen, sooner or later. Because you obviously are passionate about this and make enough cute work that people see it and people love it.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah. Continuing on with the monochromatic pieces. I just wanted to say that your expressions are pretty amazing. And it's not
Thank
just
you.
with these pieces, but with basically everything that you do. And I think it might be related to the way that you do the muzzles, but it's just that every pony in this series looks super happy. And,
Super happy.
and
Like, look at that Pinkie Pie
yeah.
face.
So happy.
So much happy.
Facial expressions. Facial expressions are actually one of my favorite things to draw. I just love to just, like the divided piece was pretty interesting for me because, like, up to that point, I'd mostly been drawing, like, happy ponies. So it's like, okay, now let's draw them all, like, not happy.
Yeah.
and that sense of conflict they had in the show.
Yeah. How was the transition from drawing like super happy ponies to having to draw ponies like in your divided piece? Like, did you practice quite a bit with the expressions, or was it just something that kind of came naturally?
It kind of came naturally. I mean, when I was developing Sac Brony Expo's mascots, for instance, I had done expression sheets for all three of them, mostly just for fun. So it wasn't something I was like really uncomfortable with. It was mostly just an interesting experience, like compared to usual happy pony prints.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of expression sheets, or like before you start a piece, if it's a different type of expression, or
Once in a while. It really depends on the piece. I had started to do a piece of the main six where they are all going to be like, taking a photo together with ridiculous facial expressions. But while I was working on that, they released one of the covers for, I think, one of the, like, comic compilation books. And it was basically the exact same theme. And Rainbow Dash was even making the exact same face. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
oh my god.
I was so upset. I was like, well, I can't do this now.
No.
But when I was working on that, I think I must have drawn Applejack's face like 10 times because I couldn't for the life of me figure out how I wanted it to look. But sometimes when it's just like, having a pony just look relatively grumpy or happy, usually it'll just come off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're really used to drawing expressions, it does,
Yeah. Though when I start a piece, usually I like to do a few thumbnail sketches, just really quick, rough, this is where the pony's going to go, or this is what I want in the background, just to see how it will essentially look on the composition before actually starting the main sketch, because sometimes I'll like think of a pose, but maybe it won't really work out right, or maybe I want to tweak it a bit before I actually settle on something to move forward with.
Speaking of expressions, in the I can't remember what you call it, the Harmony series or the Disharmony series. The one that you got with Fluttershy there, she looks terrified. Was that something you struggled with? Was that something that, because I can't see that in anything else that you've made, was that something new that you'd done for that? I had a really hard time with Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie with that series because, like, I mean, I was trying to keep it in personality, or in character, rather. So, I mean, I couldn't really have Fluttershy be all like, yeah, let's, go kick some butt or something. Because it didn't really suit her all that much. So, that one was difficult, because I really, really wanted them to stay in character, but at the same time have this sort of, like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm so sorry, I'm terrible with words.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, it seems like with most of your series, you do keep the character, or the ponies in character, which is really nice, and it shows consistency. And it's often through that expression, and yeah, just like especially like in the Fluttershy piece, her posture kind of also conveys that she's shy.
She's like, oh my,
Yeah.
I'm scared at the same time. How did you come up with the style for those ones? Because that's with the black outlines and stuff. It's something that I've tried to play with, and I'm really, really bad at it. So how did you come up with it?
Well, it was actually mostly because first, that Twilight one is actually a remake of a Twilight that I did like months ago when I was just sort of getting into My Little Pony. And I think I came up with it mostly because I wanted to experiment with a lot of black shading, kind of like in the promo artwork for Gurren Lagann. So I made the Twilight piece, and then my roommate said, well, you should make it a series and do the rest of them with the elements of harmony. And I was like, that's a great idea. I'll do it. Twilight, of course, I remade for consistency because by then it had been, a good while since I first started drawing ponies, so my style improved a bit, and I didn't want it to be, like, drastically different from the others.
Yeah. It came out cute. Was that, like, a specific scene or something from the anime, that the style with the black outlines, or is it just, like, kind of the pose and then the white sheen?
It's mostly just in their promo artwork a lot of the time, or, like, during, like, right before or right after a commercial break. They'll have, like, just some artwork of a character, usually posing, and there'll be that white little, like, shiny eye catch. So I just sort of incorporated those elements.
Very cool. Do you have any other, like, inspirations or things you kind of like drawing art of or want to draw art for besides Gurren Lagann? Fan art, that is.
Well, fan art-wise, I do plan on doing a couple of Adventure Time prints coming up.
Yes.
And a couple of anime prints. Like, I have one Madoka Magica print that I kind of put on hold for a few months. Because then I got, pulled into convention work and it just got sat on the back burner and never picked up again. Black Rock Shooter was another one I need to do a print of because it's, like, awesome. But inspiration-wise, really just comics and animation from all over the place. I grew up with, of course, like, all the awesome Western cartoons, like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab and whatnot. But then also around high school was when I started watching Japanese anime, and that also opened a door to, like, what other comics and stuff are out there, so I started reading Tintin, which is from Europe, stuff like that. So really just, I draw inspiration from anything and everything. Animation.
Yeah, it kind of shows in, like, the variety of styles that you have in all of your pieces in your gallery. Because you have stuff from, like, digital painting to the Gurren Lagann style to the more minimalistic style. So it shows that you kind of draw inspiration from a lot of different sources with your drawing style.
I don't think it's good for an artist to, like, just set on one specific style because it limits growth. So that's why I tend to try and, like, experiment with a lot of different styles. And it also makes it more fun and more exciting for me as an artist to, like, constantly try new things. And I guess it makes it interesting for my viewers, too, because I can't totally predict what I'm going to make.
Yeah. It's kind of nice because you have, like, certain aspects of your art that are consistent, and, like, that, if someone sees it, they know distinctively that it's your art. But you do like the noses, but you do play around with the style quite a bit, which is nice for you because then it's something fresh for every piece of art that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which is it's a good thing for artists too. We've had a lot of guests on the show that say that's something that they're passionate about or enjoy doing, is trying new things and trying new styles, and then we try to stress it to the viewer or the aspiring artist that it's also something you should try to reflect in your work, or a quality you should try to imitate.
Like, practice is perfect, or practice makes perfect, rather. So it's always best to just experiment, try new things. Even if it doesn't seem like it's working out, either keep working at it or try something else and not get discouraged, because that's how you learn and that's how you grow.
Speaking of learning, have you ever had the formal art training? Have you ever been to school for it, or are you just all self-taught?
Yes and no. I'm currently enrolled at the University of Oregon as a digital arts major, but I consider myself primarily self-taught because most of my, like, learning experience has just been, like, from practicing and finding tutorials online, and mostly just from actively looking for new things. But I have been taking art classes since high school, so it's kind of a mix.
What would you say would be your most useful experience?
Most useful experience.
Like with art school or with
Yeah. Like would you accredit most of your I don't know, learning to more just practicing, or would you more art school has taught you more of what you know?
More to probably practicing, and also actually high school, because I was really lucky that I had these art teachers there that were really supportive and really encouraged me to push myself as an artist. Because at first I actually didn't, have much variety in my work, and they were the ones that really encouraged me because they saw potential. College, rather, it's been okay. It hasn't exactly been like super new things. I do, value the practice and the portfolio material and the experience, but I would definitely say most of my valuable training, for lack of a better word, would have been from myself and my art teachers in high school.
Mm-hmm. I think we see that kind of a lot with artists in the fandom, because there is kind of this wealth of inspiration from the show and stuff, and so if you're going through like art school or art training or whatever, there's a set path, I think, that you go on, but usually yeah, with the community and with like the support that you get from it, it's kind of more inspiration to keep going and keep learning, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was actually funny. I was undergoing sort of a not quite an art block, but it was just sort of this period of my life where I was kind of getting discouraged with my work, and then I started, getting into the pony fandom, and I feel like I sort of have that confidence back now, just from having so much support from the fan base, and I really value it a lot. I mean, I've met so many friends and so many other artists, and it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, huh? How we can develop such a strong community around something that's just simple and
around
fun as
pastel cartoon horses.
Yes,
exactly how we like to put it.
Small horses with round noses. Yeah.
Small horse friends are good.
Yeah. I think that's something that any artist who's like starting out should kind of be aware of, is like there's this big community of people, of artists who like want to help others kind of get inspired, and also to help them learn how to art, basically. So definitely take advantage of that if you're starting out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the internet is such a valuable resource. There's so many tutorials out there, and just so many artists to give inspiration, and use all these resources. Go find them. Go practice.
Yeah.
You've in quite a few of your pieces, I can see you've been playing around with textures and that sort of thing as well. Is that something that you enjoy doing? Just not just having a blank background to start with, just a normal canvas. You in a lot of these, for example, I'm looking at the self-expressions one. Then there's in the characters, not so much the backgrounds, as that fine dots in the background of them all, just to give them a bit of a texture.
It depends on the piece. In that one, actually, because it was sort of comic page themed, I wanted to go with that sort of dot pattern to sort of draw inspiration from old school comics that have that. I can't remember the exact word for it.
Dot printing. I'm not quite sure.
Is it the dot?
But I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like playing around with textures. Usually, I think of it either as I'm working or towards the end. If I want to give something a little teeny bit extra pop. But it's not something I start out usually thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of this self-expressions one, I really, really like the way you've done with the Twilight, her invisible wing there.
Yeah.
Thank you. When I was figuring out the composition, I wasn't really sure what to do with that empty space that would have been in there. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to put a wing on her because at the time there's still all that, controversy over Alicorn Twilight, and I didn't want to rock any boats or, make anybody mad, so I figured this was kind of my way of making it there, but not. So it's there for the people that like Alicorn Twilight, and if you don't like Alicorn Twilight, well, technically it's not there.
It's a good way to take up the space. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Twilight wishing she was a princess before she actually became one.
Creative usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how none of them are within their borders.
Yes. That is fantastic. Yeah, and just another style that you've kind of played with the whole comic book style. And it came out really well.
Thank you.
And there's a partner for this one as well, which is Objectives, which is the villains version of this.
Right.
Which is really, really well done.
Thank
I
you.
really like this one. There's more of the breaking the borders in this one.
Mm-hmm.
They've still got that texture, but I think it's a bit more pronounced in the characters. For those in the chat, I'll link it.
A little bit. I tried to be relatively consistent with both, but I think, as I start working on with the style more, it tends to be a little difficult because I want to, branch out, or I end up just, being like, I think it was this size, right?
Yeah.
I'll make the spots that big.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good question.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, because when you work on a series, I'm sure it takes some time. So do you ever find yourself evolving your style over the series? Like for instance, the monochromatics or the Gurren Lagann style? Or is it pretty much
I'm not
similar?
actually sure. It tends to be fairly consistent, especially if I'm working something on a series pretty quickly. Like the monochromatic series was entirely done all 7 in 2 days.
Nice.
So not much really changed there, although I found myself trying not to do too much with line variation as things went onward. Same with the Gurren Lagann styled series, because I tend to do really varying line thickness, and so I needed it to be not too much in one but not so much in another. So it was kind of a challenge to keep things relatively uniform, but at the same time I do try to improve as I continue and fix any mistakes. But sometimes it's kind of a pain in the butt, because then I see a mistake and then I have to go back to another print, fix it, and then continue on.
Yeah.
You seem to work on the series as you make piece by piece. Did you make each piece and kind of slowly work over, make each piece individually as you go through the series and kind of let them come out or post them on your DeviantArt as you go? Or did you try to release them all at once, work on the series as as a whole piece?
Well, with the Gurren Lagann series, I did them all one at a time, but in order to keep them all the same size, I started out with one, and then I would go over, trace how large the head was, and just mark where the body would naturally be. And then turn the original image off, and then just work from it, and then just keep checking back to make sure I was still being consistent. But with the monochromatic series, I did all of the sketches first, and then I went in and actually did all the line work and coloring.
You made the series as a whole.
Yeah.
Huh.
I usually will post them all at once though, which is actually why I put all the monochromatic series in, with the exception of Vinyl Scratch, in one image. Because I didn't want to explode any inboxes or take up too much space in my already pony-filled gallery.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Did you have a specific question either you wanted to ask? Admo, Butter?
I think I've asked everything that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's try to see if we can move on to kind of a fun topic.
Yes.
Now you mentioned you have just taken a few high school art classes and stuff like that, but you also mentioned that you've taken a lot of online, or done a lot of online tutorials, or looked for all those resources, or keep pushing yourself kind of online, or doing things more fun or art for yourself. Is there any kind of favorite aspect you really like basically doing or drawing? I mean, do you find that digital art is the thing you love the most, or do you secretly have a sketchbook and making little pony sketches is your favorite thing?
Well, definitely digital art is my favorite thing to do. But I do enjoy, I mean, most of my sketches will actually come from my sketchbook first and then I scan them in. Although a lot of time with prints, in order to make sure I maintain an 11 by 17 size, or at least similar to it, I'll start in Photoshop and just draw everything on my tablet. But I've also lately been doing a little more colored pencil work, and I've got some Copics on the way from Japan, from Osaka Jack, that I really can't. I cannot wait to get my hands on those.
That's awesome. Shout out to him.
Yes.
You did
awesome.
an interview with him, haven't you, on Everfree Network?
Yes.
Yeah. That was another really cool interview. I forget back when that was. Was it like?
It was
in
shortly before
this summer,
BronyCon.
right?
Yes.
BronyCon? Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing another interview, you can check that out. It's in Osaka Jack's Into the Spotlight series. If you can find it on the Everfree Radio YouTube page. But Copic markers, that's cool. I would love to get some Copic markers.
I am so excited for Copics, because I have some Prismacolor markers, but they're like a step down from Copics.
Yeah.
To be completely honest, they don't blend quite as nicely, and so they're not always as fun to work with. But I remember trying out some Copics just that were in like my school's bookstore, and I was like, oh my god, they're beautiful, they blend so nice, and I couldn't buy them because they're like $5 a marker in the States. And I was just like, no, how do I leave them? So, and then of course Staples was doing that, like, you know, like, Copics are super cheap on their site thing. That was actually a mistake, and they canceled all their orders.
Oh no.
But,
That's rough.
but then Osaka Jack was like, well, I can, you know, get them cheaper in Japan and just buy you some in bulk. And I was just like, please. And around that time, I had just gotten paid, so I was just like, need Copics. Gonna get them
All
and
of
take
them.
advantage of this right now.
Nice.
Now, the Copic markers, are those the markers with the, like, that kind of almost paintbrush-like tip, or are they more normal marker-like?
I think there's some that have like a thicker, wider edge, and then there's some that have the paintbrush nib, and then there's the, like, I think there's probably some that have a smaller tip, but the ones I'll probably be using have the brush tip.
Cool. I love
awesome.
those, the little brush tip and like all the thicknesses and lines, fancy junk you
They're
can do
so
with them.
smooth and pretty
fun.
and like just
Oh man.
There was one in my art store or like little bookstore, whatever, in my college, and I was like, this has like a weird paintbrush like tip. I have to buy this. This is mine now. It's a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. So you're gonna start doing a lot more of the traditional stuff with those markers, then, I'm guessing.
yes.
Yeah.
I probably will be doing primarily digital work still, but it'll be nice to have something new to try.
Yeah.
Maybe at a convention, I can look forward to seeing some Copic marker work to pick up from you.
Possibly. I've been doing a bit more. I've been doing some more colored pencil work, and I've basically been selling some of those as originals at conventions, because I recently stopped doing commissions at cons just because I tend to get so busy and I need to like talk to customers as they come up to my table and answer any questions and that sort of thing, that like sometimes I end up like having to do all my commissions at the end of the day when usually I'm like trying to have dinner with people or
Yeah.
and I end up getting no sleep.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sketch on my playmat that I had, by the way. That was awesome.
Oh, no problem. That was fun.
Yeah. I still have your little OC on the edge of it. If you watch the episode we had after BronyCon, you can see the little picture of my
I
playmat.
think I watched it.
Oh, awesome.
Yay.
It looked awesome. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it turned out so well.
There's
Oh
me.
my gosh. Yeah, it's funny because yours is when I'm playing Magic, I have my deck in the top left corner, and so your OC sits right below it and like peeks out from underneath it, which is funny.
Yeah.
You watch over my graveyard, but anyway. Irrelevant.
Well.
Okay. But yeah. Go ahead, Pinky
With when you're doing the traditional stuff, have you ever tried using paint and other stuff that isn't like markers or pencils,
I've done
like paint or charcoal or anything?
I've done a little bit of that for my classes. I am terrible with paint. Like, absolutely terrible with paint. So I don't do that all that often, aside from, like, you know, doing some cosplay work when I like have to use fabric paint or, you know, acrylic paint on a prop or something. But for the most part, when I do traditional work, it'll mostly just be with like, just with pencil or colored pencil or a little bit of marker work. I don't mind trying new things. It's just mostly depends on what's available, which, considering the cost of art supplies, isn't a whole much.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned cosplay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
technically, cosplay counts as a craft, which counts as art. And you happen to be a very skilled cosplay artist. I think just about
Thank
every
you.
convention I've seen you at, you've been wearing something quite fantastic.
Thank you.
Would you mind if we showed your cosplays on the screen for people?
Sure. I mean, I don't have any formal pictures of my Dash or the Magic Duel Dangerous Mission Fluttershy cosplay that I'm like just now finishing yet, but I can totally send some photos of Gala Pinky.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be sweet.
I remember at EQLA you were first, I think, Gala Pinky, and then the next day you all of a sudden Rainbow Dash. And I'm like, oh, you have more than one cosplay.
Yeah, it was really funny. I remember somebody had came to visit and they were like, yeah, your friend was like Pinky here yesterday. I think I was like, no, that was me. And they're like, wait, what?
Completely different outfit.
Yeah.
And eye
And
color,
then different
mind
person came on Sunday and he was like, oh, like, I see your cosplaying friend isn't here today. I was like, no, that was me too.
you. You actually had contacts for the Rainbow Dash cosplay, was it?
I had contacts for both of them.
Both of them, okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
Thank you.
How long does it...
And the wig for my
going
Rainbow
next
Dash was
level.
like custom dyed because I refused to wear one of the clown wigs.
Yeah, I remember you had to have a towel on your shoulder to keep the dye from getting on your outfit, but it worked
Yeah.
out well because since it's a Rainbow Dash outfit, you know, she's athletic, so the towel, it worked fine.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
matter
was
that
like,
the
I'm gonna
towel was
just
covered in rainbow.
pretend. I'm just gonna pretend that it's part of the outfit. Nobody will ever know.
It was good. It was fun.
Nice. How long does it take you to create a cosplay? Like, for instance, like the Rainbow Dash or the Pinkie Pie Gala?
It depends on the costume. Like, my Gala Pinky, I put together in about a total of 3 weeks from start to finish on, like, making it.
Mm-hmm.
Although you gotta factor in, like, you know, wig shipping times and stuff, too, but I don't really count that. But it was also kind of rushed because I was trying to get it done in time before Fandom. And I was like, just by the end of it, I was just a frazzled, sleep-deprived mess, and I was starting to get sick.
Aw.
Rainbow Dash, though, didn't take as much time. That was mostly because most of the time I was working on her, I was waiting for the wig to dry so I could add the next color, or, you know, waiting for things to ship. And a lot of it was, you know, stuff I found and put together as opposed to sewed.
Mm-hmm.
So that one didn't take as long. It was mostly just that horrible wig.
Yeah.
Well, not really horrible wig. I don't want to call it horrible after it ended up actually turning out kind of much better than I expected. But
Just took a bit longer to dry, I take it?
yeah, it looked like a rainbow vomited on our table. Because there's like newspaper everywhere and Sharpie dye everywhere.
It's awesome.
And I had to keep changing my gloves when working with each different color.
Yeah.
Yeah, the side effects of rainbows, right? Right.
I wanted to bring up a piece, just because it's adorable.
I do.
I wanted to bring up this derpy piece, which is called Special
Oh,
Delivery.
I love that one.
Because it is so cute.
Thank you.
It's Derpy with a muffin on her head, and surrounded by mail. And you have your signature muzzle. Yeah,
Always.
always.
No one on the letter.
Yeah,
That's great.
so
Yeah,
cute.
it's a cute piece.
Yeah.
I remember you talked about it a little bit in the Osaka Jack interview. But I wanted to mention that it is a cool piece because it's, again, using a more unique style, like not of anything else really in your gallery, but it is sort of similar to your princess pieces, your little series that you're doing for the charity auctions, because it's a little bit more simple, elegant, or minimalistic. You know, there's not really a texture, maybe a little bit in the background, but I guess there is kind of like a papering texture on it.
Little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So it almost looks like cutout paper, which is kind of cool. but it's that more minimalist. You know, Derpy doesn't have outlines. She just has like the facial details, and then she doesn't have pupils, and it comes off as more simple, more necessities. I can't quite think of the right word. But I mean, again, it's another unique style. Do you plan on playing with it anymore, or any kind of style like this?
Maybe a bit more in the future. I do have Cadence coming up for the charity auction, so it'll be a similar style. But with the Derpy piece, though, since I was modeling after a postage stamp, I wanted to keep it fairly simple. Because if it was a postage stamp, it would be very tiny, and that's difficult to see small details anyway. And also, when I was starting that one, I had just finished the Twilight piece for Everfree Northwest, so I was, like, eager to play with that style a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder how long it'll be before people no longer realize what a postage stamp is.
Yeah.
When they don't recognize this anymore.
I cannot remember the last time I got anything with a stamp on it.
Aw.
Was it the tablet that you sent me?
I didn't use a stamp for that. It was a big sticker.
Yeah, it seems like whenever I'm shipping things, it's always stickers from the post office.
Stickers these days.
I know.
Yeah, I had a few people tell me I should put it on an actual stamp, but it would be ridiculously expensive to do that, and plus I was like, it would be more of a novelty and not actually something people would use.
I would stamp all of my friends. Use it all the time.
Put a stamp on their forehead.
You are worth 2 bits. Here you go.
You're getting mailed, and you're getting mailed.
Everyone's getting mailed.
Well, actually, I wanted to bring up the Radiance piece that you've done with Rarity, which is, once again, completely different to everything else that you've made in your gallery. What inspired this? How did you come up with this? Like, there's no... I don't even know how to describe it. It's, she is radiating. But how did you come up with this? Like, it's a really sketchy sort of style.
Well, it was kind of a speed-painted sort of style that I was playing around with. The idea for the piece was basically that it was a gift for my friend Chaotic Brony, and so I thought it would be neat to have his favorite pony wearing some of his jewelry. And so that was why she's wearing one of his necklaces, and then I had designed the earring to go with it because I wanted to sort of accentuate the jewelry. And then when it came time to do a background, I wanted to put more focus on Rarity than, like, anything else, so that's why I ended up going with that sort of, like, sketchy, like, gradually transitioning background. Or gradually gradienting. Yes.
Yeah.
Gradually gradienting. That sounds so awkward to say.
Sounds official enough to me.
Yeah.
Gradually radiated or something or other. I think it's about right.
Tongue twisting.
Radiating. I think those are words.
Sure. We'll go with it.
Well, no. Chaotic Brony's a cool guy. And his jewelry is really cool too. I remember I saw him, or you were with him at Everfree Northwest and BronyCon, both.
Yes. We were table neighboring at Everfree, and then at BronyCon, he very generously shared his table with me. Because I hadn't even thought, like, BronyCon would have been an option for me to go until, like, a couple months before, and I was like, well, crap. And he was like, but I don't have a table partner for that, and I was just like, please?
Please. Chaotic Brony, please.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's pretty awesome. It's nice that he let you share his table, because then you got to sell stuff at BronyCon, which was awesome.
And I got to see everybody at BronyCon. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Man.
We got to see you.
Yes.
Yay.
I love when you guys come to visit.
I didn't.
Aw.
It was really neat, though, because, like, at BronyCon, I mean, there's people flying from all over, so I remember having people buy stuff from my table that were, like, from Ireland and England and Canada, and I was just like, holy crap, my artwork's traveling more than I am.
Yeah. That's awesome. Couldn't imagine getting, like, fans from, all over, like, Europe or Asia or things like that.
It's the coolest thing.
BronyCon is a very universal, like, convention as far as, all the conventions go. BronyCon's definitely the most universal for as far as people who come to actually fly out of their way to go to it,
Right.
It's kind of crazy how international the fandom has become, and I think as part of that, like artists within the fandom have kind of become internationally known, which is pretty awesome when like people come overseas to go to a convention and then they buy your art, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really humbling, honestly. Like at BronyCon too, I was like, oh my gosh, like these people are just fantastic.
All of these Canadian fans.
All these Canadians.
We're missing.
I didn't think that I didn't think that saying was like was a thing. I thought it was just like a stereotype, and then I think like half of the people that came to my table said and I was just like, oh, it's a thing.
Looking at you,
I was just gonna ask you if you heard any funny accents or anything like that, because I think the area that BronyCon was in was the area where like saying A is more like normal in their dialect or accents, you know.
Hey, it's Canadian education time with Rainbow Plasma. So, evidently, Byrne doesn't know what the heck he's talking about. In Canada, people say A. That's not just a thing that people make up. We do say A. We'll say, how you going, A? But first of all, it's something that it's more of an older, and it's a little bit more of a country thing, quote unquote. But everyone does it at some point, but you'll hear it more often in rural places. Second of all, Burned was completely wrong. It's not more prevalent on the West Coast. In fact, I might even say it's more prevalent on the East Coast, especially in like rural Ontario. But in general, it's a countrywide thing that we do. So it does exist, although it's not as prevalent especially with the younger or mid-age, 20 to 30-year-olds. We don't say it that often. But it does come out for sure, and it's definitely a thing. So that's your Canadian lesson for today. I've got to go now, because there's a hockey game on, and you can't miss that, eh?
Which is funny.
Yeah, we're missing our
we were
resident Canadian. Yeah, sorry. We're missing Rainbow Plasma, who's a resident Canadian, so he doesn't get to say it.
I'm expecting some big angry message coming up on the screen.
Oh yeah, he's editing this.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any work.
Nice.
So good.
Yeah. I just wanted to say one last thing about this Radiance piece. I think that the background that you did is fantastic. It's a really cool idea because it's so minimalistic, but it kind of really gives Rarity this shining quality to her. So, yeah.
Thank
She's
you.
radiating.
A radiance, if you will. We're so artsy here. We dig so deep for our words and analysis.
Big words, Radiance.
Yep.
Now, I just had one last question before we wrap up, unless anybody else has something.
Go ahead.
Something that we ask to pretty much all of our guests that we have on the show. Any advice that you can give to aspiring artists who are just trying to start out or are struggling with their work at the moment?
Practice.
Any advice you can give for them?
Yeah.
Practice?
Lots of practice.
Practice.
Just
Always
practice.
practice and always try new things and try to avoid sticking to only drawing one thing or only drawing one style. Like, draw lots of things and even like experiment with your style a bit and you might find something awesome.
Draw all the things.
all
All the things.
It works too well.
It does.
All right. So,
All right.
Before we start our plugs, is there anywhere that you would like to plug, like places that people can reach you? I know you go to a bunch of cons, so if anyone goes to cons next year, they're probably going to run into you.
Probably. I'm going even more cons next year.
Yeah.
Most likely. I need to make sure things are a little more set in stone before I say, hey, I'm going to this con. But
Yeah.
So which were the cons that were really like that you are going to for sure? It's
I'll
BabsCon,
definitely
right?
be at yes. Well, actually, I'm definitely vending at BabsCon. I might not be there myself in person because SakuraCon in Seattle is the exact same weekend, and all of my friends and I always go to that one. So it's kind of a bummer that they ended up the same weekend. So I'm a little torn, but at the very least, my art will be at BabsCon.
all right.
And I will be doing some art for BabsCon. So that's exciting.
That's cool.
I'll also be at Everfree Northwest again, hopefully BronyCon again.
Yay.
But like I said, I need to actually make sure things are booked and stuff before I say, like, I've got a table, you know?
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to shout out Everfree, EQLA. I mean, Sacroni Expo's not going to be doing another year, but those guys were awesome. So saying hi to them anyway. And BabsCon needs more love, so everybody go pre-reg for BabsCon.
Go love them.
Yeah.
Yes, go love them, because it's going to be fantastic.
I'll definitely try to do that.
Yes.
So if anyone cares, I'll definitely be there.
Go
stalk
forth and con.
Yeah. So you also have your DeviantArt page, which is leekfish.deviantart.com. And then
I also have a Tumblr
Mm-hmm.
where I will actually post a little bit more, because I feel like Tumblr was more of my outlet where I can post, like, even things that I have finished but might not want, like, in my DeviantArt gallery, just because, like, I don't want, like, total pony domination
It's too late.
in my DeviantArt gallery.
It's too late.
Yeah, it is too late, honestly. It is. And then I also have Twitter, where I often post, like, works in progress and stuff like that, or even just, like, sketches that I'm working on to pass the time. Time that I never, ever have, like, extra of.
Yeah.
Free time? What's that?
Time?
Time?
All right, awesome.
Cool. So, do you want to do our plugs?
I can do web plugs. So we have a DeviantArt account, which is cutiartcrusaders.deviantart.com. We have a email account, which is cutiartcrusaders@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter, so we have a Twitter which is @CutieArtCrusade. So while you're tweeting LeekFish, you can tweet us at the same time, and Bernd will probably respond. Is it Bernd?
Yeah. Bernd, or
Yeah, Bernd.
I
Bernd will
tweet.
probably
or
respond to
me,
that one.
or Rainbow Plasma.
You tweet? I don't know what Twitter is.
Sure.
We also have a Facebook, Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook, and the YouTubes, which some of you probably are there now, which is youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders.
Yeah.
Yay!
Go to those places, we'll all respond somehow.
Yep. So I think that just about wraps it up. So whether or not you're in the live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. Thank you guys for watching.
Love.
Yay!
Love.
I feel so weird taking Rainbow Plasma's place, but you know. Canadian. We miss you, buddy. Anyhow, I'm PhotoGuy317.
I'm Berndo1.
I'm at Musbar.
And I'm LeekFish.
And
Yeah.
we'll see you next week. Bye!
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.